necessarily get off because I was kind of facilitating the live. It was the first time Bill was up, so I was kind of taking a back seat, and it was a lot going on, so I was kind of here and there. But and this isn't to come at anybody specifically. This is just a fact. So I would like to think that nobody would take this as a, well, specifically D, because it was something that he said that doesn't necessarily make it a fact. And I just now pointed it out. He said that, they wouldn't even make an exemption for Anthony Joshua when it came to the IBF title. But here's one thing we're not acknowledging when it comes to Teofimo Lopez and it comes to Devin Haney. This is what we're not acknowledging about the IBF. If when after the fight had happened between Lomachenko, Teofimo Senior is very boisterous, so he was saying a lot of things about. Of course, he went down the line of saying if he couldn't get Ryan, he couldn't get Tank. That Devin Haney was next on the list. Now, here's the deal. I would like to take it back to, I believe, 2019, or I would like to take it back to around like anywhere in between like December towards January, February of like 2019 or 2020. I didn't necessarily look it up, but we all know this to be true. When Canelo had the IBF title, when Canelo held the IBF title at 100, what weight was it? 100 and yeah, when Canelo had, I believe it was 168 pounds. I'm pretty sure it was 168. Yeah, whatever. When Canelo held the title at 168 pounds, here's the deal. We all remember that Canelo got stripped for the IBF title, right? And Canelo is just as marquee as Anthony Joshua, and actually it holds a little bit more relevancy because, Canelo was in the States, and we know how particularly people are when it comes to fighters that are in the States. Ace Money, salute. It's good. Hey, man, I'm glad you came through, doggy. For real, for real. We made it an epic one, didn't we, Brody? But H Money, I'm glad you're here because here's a fact that I want to acknowledge about the IBF that I didn't necessarily get to get in while, Bill was on and D brought this up. And when he brought up, a megastar like Anthony Joshua, because I actually had a counter defensive for that, but I didn't necessarily get to get it off. Do we all remember back in, I believe it was probably in 2019, Canelo was the IBF champion. What happened with that situation with Canelo being the IBF champion when it came to Sergey Derevyanchenko? Canelo got stripped. Why did Canelo get stripped when Canelo was looking at other options and looking at bigger fights? Golden Boy never filed the exemption. Golden Boy never filed the exemption, so the IBF stripped them. The IBF stripped Canelo. That's why the IBF stripped Canelo. So we can't use Anthony Joshua saying that because the IBF wouldn't strip. They didn't strip Anthony Joshua for Kubrat Pulev because I got to look at it like this. When it comes to Alexander Usyk and the WBO, when you consider Anthony Joshua for who Anthony Joshua is to boxing, Alexander Usyk was the undisputed cruiserweight champion who went into everybody's backyard to get the belt. Now, if we look at Canelo's situation, Golden Boy didn't do their job. Oscar De La Hoya didn't put in the exemption at the right time. Canelo gets stripped, and that's the reason why Canelo wasn't able to get an exemption for the fight and go on and fight the other fighters that he was trying to pursue. And he was pissed off at Oscar De La Hoya for that. So we can't use that Anthony Joshua and the IBF stripping situation as a segue because everybody wants to give Devin Haney all of this smoke and look at it in a sense to where Teofimo Lopez isn't ducking Devin Haney because Teofimo Lopez is taking on a mandatory. But here's the truth of the situation. If Teofimo was to do like Teofimo said he was going to do, if he couldn't get the fight with those individuals, he was going to go with Devin Haney next, then why didn't his father file the exemption? Why didn't they file the exemption? Because that's what his management is saying. If they really wanted to fight, they would have filed the exemption, as was said in the Athletic when Bill Haney stated it. So when I'm speaking on that, this is basically what I'm saying. If you really wanted to fight this individual and that was really on your mind, then why didn't you file the exemption and really take that fight if it was all about the bag, right? So we can't use Anthony Joshua for leverage when it comes to the IBF, saying the IBF is going to strip everybody, because when it comes to business, you're going to do the right thing. And if we look at the conversation that I had earlier, when H Money was on, when Boxing Jedi was on, shout out to D Jeff, man, subscribe to all those individuals. H Money, D Jeff, Boxing Jedi, of course. Here's the deal, man. Here's the deal. We got to look at all the posturing and all the stance that individuals are taking. And once again, I'm a firm believer in energy. So when a nigga energy switch repeatedly, go back and watch the live stream. I put the timestamps in there. Watch the consistent flip flopping. Watch. It was real. It was real spicy. Then it changed up. It went from, we want the money. Devin Haney's a duck. He don't want to fight. He told me that Devin Haney ain't shit. He didn't really want to fight Lomachenko. He didn't really want to fight Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis, Mikey Garcia, or any one of these individuals. But when Bill Haney comes up here, he says that we know Lomachenko was ducking your son. He didn't want to take the fight with your son. He said we know all of the other individuals are ducking your son. So all I'm saying is, why are we not acknowledging that energy? As I go back and I look at the chat and I look at all of the keyboard warriors and the things that they're saying, you're not acknowledging these facts. So if we're going to sit up here and we're going to be so pro one way, I think that we need to call it down the middle, because clearly the energy switched. And if you don't believe so, watch all of the contradictions in the playback. So we're not going to sit up here and use, the IBF is, the leverage, to use for this individual, saying that he got to take this fight. He couldn't have made the fight, because he could have made the fight. They could have did their due diligence, and they could have put in the paperwork, and they could have got the fight with Devin Haney, because we already know how sanctioning bodies work. They about their bread, so they want more money. When it comes to Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk, that's a mega fight. It's a mega fight no matter who Anthony Joshua is positioned to fight. So, yeah, man. Yeah, everybody want their bread. Everybody want their bread. So all I'm saying is, there was a lot of badgering for me, and there was a lot of unfair criticism, and people were only pointing out things they want to point out. And when you say an individual is hogwash, and when they're pointing out their own management said they could have filed the exemption, when we know Canelo got stripped for Golden Boy not following the exemption and doing their job, we got to acknowledge that thing too. I'm not coming at D or anything like that. I'm just coming at the facts of the situation. Energy changed. There were plenty of things said, and we came to find out that a lot of those things weren't even true when the other benefactor in the situation came on. So all I'm saying is, man, we just got to acknowledge that fact, man. So if Golden Boy didn't do their job and Canelo was hot about that, then you know what I mean? If Teofimo Lopez really wanted to fight Devin Haney at that time, if he was the email champion, as you said, after you got in that fight, and you said that you was going to take his belt too and make it real right after that fight, then you should have fucking made it real. Because if he's not upset about not getting a fight with Devin Haney, and money is his aim, and fighting Kambosos is a mandatory right now, and he's saying this is supposed to be ESPN, this is supposed to be Top Rank, and they're not even getting the fight, then we have to acknowledge these facts as well. So why doesn't he have any energy towards Devin Haney, and why is he just pushing it off? That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't like the energy, because you know what I mean? Like, you have the information out of the horse's mouth, and on top of that, you've seen the information change right in front of your face, and people still will disregard that because they want to believe such and such. I heard other individuals saying, when is Devin Haney going to fight a top 10 fighter? But I believe, regardless of whether you feel about Zab Dulev, just like the same way I feel about fucking Luke Campbell, he was a top 10 fighter at the time. If I'm a champion, just like Terrence Crawford, because Terrence Crawford gets this unfair criticism as well. Why aren't you doing? Who have you fought at 147 when we know the same type of scrutiny that Terrence Crawford is facing for trying to do the same thing? I just find it really unfair that we're not giving nobody that, like, yo, we not keeping. It's not the same. It's not called down the middle correctly. It's not called down the middle fair, and we're not going to sit up here and just disregard what the fuck is truly going on here. I'm just not going to do that. What's up, Two Hands? People fail to see that he ducked Chenko when it was a promoter issue. Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. So that's why I said, when we talk about the IBF and we're talking about Canelo being stripped, Canelo was stripped because Golden Boy didn't do their job and file the exemption. So once again, if Teofimo Lopez said that he was going to fight Devin Haney if he couldn't get Tank Davis or Ryan Garcia or flip-flop them in that order, he was going to fight his son next, then why didn't your team file the exemption if you really wanted to fight? And then if you really wanted to fight, why weren't you upset in the realm of like Canelo was upset? Because if you truly wanted to fight and it's all about the money, as you say, I think that you would kind of be a little bit more upset than what you were. And once again, Devin Haney wasn't, when he came up there and he was talking to me all disrespectful and stuff like that, Devin Haney wasn't shit. Devin Haney never wanted to fight those individuals, but then when Bill came on, they all ducking Devin Haney's son. So y'all need to acknowledge, you know what I'm saying, the credibility of the other party and how shaky it seemed. And I think people who really felt a certain way really need to go back and look at the playback in the whole, in a whole, and acknowledge all the holes in certain individuals' game. Because if I gotta acknowledge if y'all want me to acknowledge the holes in people's game and say keep that same energy, then I have to acknowledge the holes. When I say keep the same energy, that don't mean even if you're fucking wrong, continuously just try to continue to go down the road of being wrong. Because everybody always try to stonewall fucking great fights or whatever. And then everybody tries to push people in the direction of fighting somebody else that truly doesn't even make no sense for their career. But it's a good ego stroke for you to say, hey, this guy deserves to be here. But I truly remember that Teofimo Lopez was in that same position and everybody wanted him to jump through the ringer. Nobody believed him. And then when he got his fucking belt, everybody expect him to go through the same thing. Do the same shit that he hated when he had to face all of those hurdles. And I believe their paths run parallel for what they were chasing. Because we got to remember, who was calling who Lomachenko? Who was calling out Lomachenko in the ring, chasing down Lomachenko, trying to get it with Bob and everything else? Bob made it very clear that he is not interested in Devin Haney. And here's the issue, right? We all know one thing about Bob Arum. Bob Arum knows fucking fights. He knows fights and he knows fighters, bro. He knows styles and he knows what he's looking at. A person is only going to disregard something if they already see something shaky about it. Because when it comes to anybody else or it comes to a lucrative situation, Bob doesn't never shy away from putting this guy in the middle of the smoke. But here's the deal. You put so much of you put so much of a machine and a battery in Lomachenko's back to propel him above Bud Crawford, and you didn't advertise Bud Crawford in the way you should when he's truly the real deal and the pound for pound best fighter that Top Rank has to offer. You completely didn't advertise him for shit. When it came down to their fucking Amir Khan fight, you know, and the shitty numbers that it did, nobody promoted that fight till they didn't even promote the fight until that fucking week. We got to acknowledge the fact that there's a lot of fucking odd posturing going on here, and there's a lot of fake, and there's a lot of bullshit fucking criticisms. And we got to acknowledge when a champion is chasing another champion, and a guy goes and fights Luke Campbell and gets an interim fucking title, and he's running in the direction of 130. He wants to put fucking Devin Haney last. And when I spoke to when I spoke to T.O. Senior, shout out to T.O. Senior, when I spoke to him, I said, you said that this motherfucker wasn't shit. It's not a big fight for your son. But clearly in the press conference after the fight, when you were elated about your son winning, unified titles, you said the biggest fucking fight that your son could possibly make, or the biggest fight you see your son ever being in, was Devin Haney. But then when he's in front of me, he's saying no. And I'm asking him to acknowledge that. And he quickly was dismissive and moved on to the next topic. So what I'm saying is acknowledge the fact that we moving on to the next topic, acknowledge the fact that phones is dying, acknowledge the fact that motherfucker said that, you know what I'm saying, he never wanted any parts of any of these individuals and he was ducking and he was off when he was feeling a little aggy, and acknowledge the fact that he said that everybody, Teofimo Sr. said out his own mouth, that every single one of these individuals are ducking his son. So what's y'all life like? Because mine is real. So once again, if you want to talk about keeping the same energy and maintain your composure, keeping the same energy don't mean even when you're fucking wrong, just continuously roll down the fucking streets of being wrong. I'm all about, I don't care how y'all feel about wanting him to fight Masaroshi Nakatani. I don't care about y'all wanting to see him fight Javier Fortuna, who is 1,000% hot dumpster juice, who struggled with Adrian Granados, who got knocked on his ass by Jason Sosa. The Jason Sosa who fucking Lomachenko got his title off, Anthony Crawler, fucking Luke Campbell. Those aren't fucking incredible names, excuse me. I'm sorry. But for your ego stroke, because of what Teofimo did and what this kid was roadblocking, wasn't able to do, and he got propelled to stardom during the time of his injury, everybody expects this man to jump through hoops now. But all of y'all motherfuckers are the same motherfuckers who was non-believers. And for real, I'll post all y'all motherfucking comments of y'all dragging Teofimo. I swear to God, like I did the American flag shit with Deontay Wilder posting all of the derogatory comments people was putting up on me with the fart comments in it, with the fucking Pledge of Allegiance playing in the back. I will do that shit with all y'all comments for all y'all motherfuckers who energy was not the same when it came to fucking Teofimo Lopez and it came to the Vasily Lomachenko money. Because the difference between me and y'all, I put my motherfucking money where my mouth is. I put my motherfucking videos together, and I called it the way I called it. And ever since the beginning of time, can't nobody say my energy is waving when it comes to Devin Haney, because you can even ask D Jeff, shout out to Speak Your Mind Sports Talk, please subscribe, that I told him since day one that fucking Devin Haney would beat Teofimo Lopez. And I even said after the Vasily Lomachenko fight, from the 6th round on, it looked a little shaky. And I already believed Devin Haney to be a superior boxer. And I feel like Devin Haney beats him fucking like 8 rounds to 4 if it comes down to a decision. Just straight beautiful boxing. Just beautiful boxing. And that's my opinion. And the thing about my opinion is it's not going to waver, because that's what I see in the styles. So if I can acknowledge that this guy is a problem here, and we can acknowledge that this individual is going to be a problem for him, then why can't we acknowledge that all of the funny posturing and shit like that should be a little bit more shaky, and we should be scratching our heads like, yo, what the fuck is going on here? Because if an individual really wants something, once again, going back to Golden Boy, not doing their job, going back to the IBF mandatories, and they will strip your motherfucking ass, like people tend to believe on everything, why when it comes to his management, you wouldn't file the exemption if he was third on your list once again? Why didn't your management push for it? Why didn't you even acknowledge it? Why aren't you even upset about it if your end game was money? And then you turn around and say you don't care about money, you cool with floss and fake rollies, and you know what I mean? It's all about the glory. So you can't tell me one thing, and then when another individual gets up here tells me another thing, and then I'm just supposed to be satisfied with that. Because all of you individuals, if you happen to catch the live, every single one of you with a sound point of view, because you tune in to Reaper Gang Radio and y'all know how I kick it, go back to my first video all the way up to this video, you're not going to find no shaky shit. You're going to find the same individual maintaining the same prestige that I've kept the whole time and integrity since I came in here. Why can't we all acknowledge the fact that there was some shaky shit going on here, and there's some head scratching shit, but at the same time, you know what I mean, we want to emphasize on small things like, I can't say that he's ducking Devin Haney by fighting Kambosos, but at the same time, after he said that he couldn't get Brian Haney or Tank Davis, he was going to fight Devin Haney. He had the opportunity, because once again, sanctioning bodies are going to go for the thing that makes them the most money. And if Devin Haney was an option available, of course he was going to get the most money, because clearly Top Rank ain't taking care of him, and he's going to purse bid right now. And who do y'all think is going to win out that shit? I don't believe it to be Top Rank, because clearly they don't want to put up the money. Salute, IBFP. Salute, brother. Yeah, man, we did it, bro. We did it. Hold up. We did it. Hold up. I'm repping all year. I'm repping all year till next year. Until we got to do it again. Because we going to repeat on their ass. Hold up. It's a Bucks life, baby. Yeah, man. Yeah, so I'm just saying, we've got to keep it genuine, and it's a Bucks life. Fire off the cannons. We have to keep it genuine, and we have to acknowledge the areas of deficiency when we're talking about, you know what I'm saying, the verbal warfare that was taking place when we were debating, going back and forth. That is all I'm asking. I don't care that a person is a fan of this individual or believes he's going to beat this individual. I don't care if people are a fan of this individual and believe he's going to beat that individual. All I'm saying is, here on Reaper Gang Radio, we always have to acknowledge the energy. We got to acknowledge when things are shaky. We got to acknowledge when people ain't keeping up with that same kind of vibe. Because clearly on here, y'all got it live. And if you didn't get it live, hey, I advise you to go to about 1:08 to 1:10. An hour and 10 seconds. Start from there, and then y'all can proceed to watch how it started with me, and then y'all could proceed to watch what was said with Bill, and then y'all can listen to all the flip-flop and contradictions. And I even challenge you, if anybody is willing to do this, because as a matter of fact, I started doing it probably about 45 minutes ago. I started writing down all the contradictions because there were a lot of people in the chat saying the individuals weren't keeping the same energy. So I started writing down the pros and cons. acknowledging all of the contradictions and shit like that. So I'm gonna actually count out how many contradictions there were next Monday on Reaper Gang Radio and really what is what. Because I'm telling you right now, even Ray Charles could see that there was some real Carl Anthony Towns kind of posturing in the post, man. Joel Embiid kind of posturing in the post. Pivot, pump fake, pivot, pump fake. Yo, okay, H1 he says to Teofimo and his daddy contradict himself every day. And see, absolutely, he did call out Loma first. It just so happened that when you're positioned to be when you're already positioned in a spot to where you're already on the side of that street in that label, because let's be honest here, Bob Arum never even wanted to give Teofimo Lomachenko. How long did he have to beat down those walls? Because Devin Haney was chasing it, so it was a lot of pressure being put on that situation. So Teofimo, of course, he was going to get it before Devin Haney got it. But at the same time, once again, for me, I've already heard out of Bill's mouth they willing to take whoever's the best is available. And if that's what y'all want to see, that's what y'all want to see. But I'm always a firm believer in another champion going after another champion. Because, look at how Bob Arum, go back and watch the Fight Hype interview and look how Bob Arum was trying to posture on the situation when it came to Devin Haney fighting the Jorge Linares. When it came to Devin Haney fighting fighting a Luke Campbell or something like that. He didn't even look at him like he was a priority. Somewhere down the road. What the fuck is down the road? But Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis are right now. I believe all of these individuals to be on the same level. I believe all of these individuals bring special qualities to the table. And I believe all of these individuals should be mixing it up with one another. But when everybody else is going left, right, up, down, sideways, and around, Devin Haney, why can't we just acknowledge that? Because clearly, you got it live on Reaper Gang Radio. Prime Fighting Champion, salute, my brother. Oh, yeah, and I just said that, H Money, Javier Fortuna, Adrian Granados, like, come on, bro. Come on, man. Freddie Mars, salute. So, it's bothersome for me when people will continuously takes the stance that, Teofimo Lopez is fucking just some angel in this situation. It's not an angel. Clearly, his posturing is off, dog. It's off. I will say it's odd how Teofimo moving with Haney. It's clearly odd. And I don't know if you caught the live IBFP, but brother, go back and start at 1 hour and 10 minutes, all the way up until Bill Haney Sr. comes on, and then you will hear the consistent contradictions. That man was talking real spicy with me, and he told me straight up that Devin Haney is ducking all of the individuals at 135. When Bill came up here, Devin Haney, they all ducking Devin Haney. When he was up there with me, it's about the money. When Bill came up there, it's about the glory. It's about the money. It's about the glory. Like, I don't care about that. Like, yo. So my thing is, IBFP, you already know, we got to keep that same energy. We got to keep that same energy. And if that is something that we consistently preach, if we consistently talk about individuals keeping that same energy, and the individual isn't keeping that same energy, I feel as though we got to go, you know what? Maybe there is something about this kid, Devin Haney, that's got the motherfucking world thinking like, this kid's a problem. Because everybody else, they willing and ready. But Devin Haney? Oh, no, sir. So once again, I can't use the AJ in the Kubrat Pulev situation and saying that he wasn't able to, get an exemption because, there was no Tyson Fury fight made at the time. We still haven't heard an announcement for AJ and Tyson Fury. I feel like Tyson Fury, shout out to Victor Bada, you know what I'm saying, for bringing this to my attention. He said that Tyson Fury mentioned Daniel Kinahan got the fight done And he's going to be in the biggest fight of the world, but we already know that they just put out a whole freaking documentary on him being a part of the Irish Mafia and shit like that. So how serious are you about fighting Anthony Joshua when you were saying these things? But that's not the point I'm trying to make here. The point that I'm trying to make is the fact that we already know, right or wrong, when it came to Canelo Alvarez, Golden Boy did not do their job and file the exemption. That's why he got stripped when it came to Sergey Derevyanchenko. That is a fact. So if we're going to mention one big fighter of the world, we're not going to leave out the fact that, you know what I'm saying, the IBF stripped them for Golden Boy not doing their job, and Canelo was highly upset about that shit. So I'm just saying, I don't see Teofimo being highly upset about not fighting motherfucking Devin Haney. That's all I got to say about it. Reaper Gang Radio. That's it. We got the streets and every fucking thing else. Salute.